Hello and welcome to week 11. So this week we're going to be jumping into what we call the domain section of your textbook, and it is really meant to be kind of an extension of what you started learning about last week in chapter 10. So last week when you were looking at curriculum and the designing of curriculum, the implementation of curriculum, really what we want to make sure that we're doing is we're taking everything that we've talked about so far, which is the physical environment, having a developmentally appropriate schedule. And we want to make sure that we are going to pair that with the developmental knowledge that we have of the children that we're working with. So for the next 4 weeks, you're going to be looking at different domains of development in early childhood. And this week, we're going to start with the physical domain. So I wanted to show you how I've set up Blackboard because it's going to kind of be set up the same way for the next couple of weeks. So one of the first things that I've done, and I'm going to put this in every week, is I've put the link to the Virginia milestones for development. And the reason that I've done this is because I want you to see the correlation between what we're learning about in our textbook and then applying it with what developmentally appropriate standards say that we should be doing with children in these different levels and different domains of development. So for the physical domain, this is the orange section of the Virginia milestones, and all of the information that relates to the physical domain is on pages 40 to 43 and 121 to 130. So if I were to bring up the milestones, I just kind of wanted to give a refresher course that when you look at the table of contents, you notice that they are going to be separated by color. And that's the easiest way to remember that these are the different domains. So the domain is kind of the big overarching umbrella that is the content and the developmental knowledge that we want to have about children. So for this week, we're going to be looking at the physical development and health. So each week as we get into the different domains, I will show you which section, which color it is in the milestones, and the page numbers where you can find them. But again, just kind of as a quick refresher, when you get into the domains, there's two different sections that they have in here, and that's why there's two different page numbers, because they do an overview, and then when you get into the later pages, they actually break it down standard by standard. So as we look here, this is the overview page of physical development and health. And so what I want you to see is that we have gross motor, we have fine motor, but health and well-being also falls into the physical domain. And so as you're looking, this is just kind of, again, the overview page of every single standard that's going to be listed in the physical domain. So the smaller numbers are normally, they always are going to indicate that these are going to be for infants. And then as you get up into the higher numbers, then you're going to see that you're getting to the older children. So for instance, when we took strand 1, which is gross motor development, you see that we have birth to 18 months to 36 months, 36 months to 48 months, and 48 months and older. And you'll see that the corresponding standards are going to relate based on the lower numbers go with the lower age group, and then the higher numbers go with the higher age group. So each section is set up the same way. So you'll have an overview section in the lower numbers, for instance, 40 to 43 in the physical domain. But then when you get up into the higher page numbers, which for the physical domain starts on page 121, you notice that what they've done is they have separated each one of the standards one by one so that they can show you the different strategies. So there will be an overview page that says this is what's kind of happening, things that we need to be looking for, but then they're going to take each standard individually. This is an example of what you might observe the child doing, and then this is how teachers can help and support. So again, I just kind of wanted to do a quick overview of how the milestones were set up, so that as we're getting into this section, you understand that there should be a relationship between what the textbook is saying about how we should design our instruction and what the standards are telling us that we should be expecting of children of each particular age range. So each week I will put in the link to the milestones. I'll tell you what section it is and what page numbers you can find. But what you're going to be doing that's going to be a little bit different for the next couple of weeks is you're going to actually be completing a journal entry on the domain and the video that I have posted that goes along with that particular developmental domain. So as always, there will be the PowerPoint that goes along with the chapter. But here's where it's a little bit different, and I just want to make sure that you understand how to do it. So each week for the next 4 weeks, you're going to find that there is a video that I have posted that goes along with the domain that we're talking about. So for this week, we're talking about the physical domain. So I have a video on physical development, the first 5 years. So what you need to do is you need to view the video, and then you're actually going to complete a journal entry. So if you look, you'll see that the journal entry is asking you to do 2 things. One of them is to give me your 5 biggest takeaways. I don't want bullet points. I really want you to just be able to articulate why this was important, why this is something that's going to stick with you. But then I also want you to tell me how you're going to use this information. So each journal entry is going to look exactly the same. I'm asking you the same questions. I'm asking you to give me the same information, but it's going to change based on the domain that we're talking about. Now, people get confused because sometimes it'll say video journal. I'm not asking you to make a video. I'm asking you to write a journal entry about the video that I have posted. And so the way that you do it is really simple. You click on where it says journal, and then it's going to ask you to create a journal entry. This is going to open up a text box so you can just type directly into it. You are welcome to type it in Microsoft Word and then copy and paste it. The only thing I don't want you to do is attach your Word document, because then that's an extra link that it takes, and sometimes it doesn't always allow me to open it. So when you click on Create Journal Entry, you can just put physical domain, and then you're just going to type your response in this box. Again, this needs to be fairly detailed. I'm not just asking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm asking you to tell me the 5 takeaways, but then discuss them. What is it that they said about that particular piece of information, and why is it something that you thought was important? But then don't forget that the other part of that is the application piece, and I am going to be looking at that as half of your journal grade. I need you to tell me, how are you now going to use this information to be able to make you a better teacher and to make you more aware of what to look for as you're looking at children, in this instance, in the physical domain. So make sure that you type directly into this box. As I said, if you want to type it in Microsoft Word and then just copy and paste it, that's totally fine. But do check your spelling and grammar, because I will be looking for that as well. But when you're done, all you have to do is go down and post entry, and then it shows up in the grade book so that I can grade it. So I just wanted to make sure that you understood how to do the journal entries. The other thing that's really important to know is that your journal entries are also counting as your participation. So it really is kind of a double whammy. If you do the journal entries, then you know that you're getting 100 in participation for that week. But if you don't do the journal entry, then you also get a 0 for non-participation. The reason I have set it up that way is because I think these sections, these chapters, and these videos are so important to understanding that we're not just teaching children how to read and write, we're also supposed to be helping them in the physical domain and in the creative domain and in the social and emotional domain. And so I really want to make sure that you're taking the time to review all of the resources that I've given you and really take time to reflect on how you can use them. So I think that's it for this week. The only other thing to remember is that your schedule is due by the end of this week, so please make sure that you get that submitted by the end of the grace day. Remember that once a link closes, then no late assignments are accepted. So just make sure that you have it in at least by midnight on the day of the grace day. So have a great week learning about the physical domain, and I will see you next week.